with the recent announcement of Hammer's brand new release, Man of Sherwood Forest, one that's never gotten a really good release. It's an exciting time if you're a fan of Hammer, not just Hammer Horror, but Hammer the company, because they put out a lot more than horror films. They weren't always easiest to collect though. In the era of VHS, you had to, it was slim pickings, and a lot of the releases that I got back then were EP releases. For those that are pre-VHS, those are the ones that had a lot of film on a movie on a little tiny bit of film. They weren't really good quality, and you really wanted to get when you got one of those Hammer releases, you were hoping and praying it was like an Anchor Bay release, because they'd have the nice clamshell case right up on the other side, and a nice, sturdy, hefty VHS. But when you went into that like dreaded $5 and $10 bin, and you picked out a release from Company X of a public domain title, you could often end up with something that could last you, if you're lucky, a couple of weeks. We're going to get photobombed with my cat in the background tonight, so keep an eye for that. Maybe you want to make a drinking game out of it. But either way, welcome to The Cult. My name is Aaron, and tonight we're looking at Hammer films. In 1934, William Hines, a actor-comedian, came up with the idea to do Hammer films. See, Hines used the stage name of Will Hammer, and that came from an area where he lived in London, a place called Hammersmith. It started with a comedy that's no longer available. I don't think there's any of it anywhere, and that's The Public Life of Henry IX. But most of you guys probably, for the early Hammer stuff, know the Bela Lugosi film, The Mystery of the Marie Celeste. That's usually where people remember Hammer at. Though I don't think when anybody goes to discuss Hammer, they're discussing either William Hines or the Mystery of the Marie Celeste. Usually that's bar trivia stuff. If you're talking about Hammer, you're more than likely talking about their latter stuff. You're talking about the Hammer horror. You're talking about the science fiction stuff. Now, there was earlier stuff. They did some Dick Barton films, or based off of a radio character that radio serials that were done. Quatermass, yes, Quatermass. Every time somebody says Quatermass, it just drives me. The character of Quatermass from Nigel Neal came from television. As some of the other stuff like The Omnibuses and other titles. But it's really the advent of Hammer horror, Bray Studios, and directors like Terrence Fisher and Freddie Francis, and that really make us think of how Hammer is known today. People often think of The Curse of Frankenstein as the first Hammer horror, or at least the first Gothic Hammer horror, and it really is. Their first science fiction film was The Four-Sided Triangle, but the first one of serious note would have been The Quatermass Experiment. The Quatermass Experiment was a revolutionary one done in 1955 on BBC television. Hammer would go on to make the feature film of that, and used Brian Donlevy in the role of Quatermass for the first and second one, much to the chagrin of Nigel Neal. It was, however, The Curse of Frankenstein and its follow-up, Dracula, Horror of Dracula, in North America, that would bring Hammer its big success and notoriety. Suddenly, the universal horrors that we'd seen with Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman had gone from these black and white films to these color films with gorgeous women with heaving bosoms and actual red blood in full color. It was shocking. It was scandalous. It was Hammer, and it was magnificent. And with that being said, and that being heard, let's look at some of my Hammer releases. One of the things that made Hammer so hard to collect or to get under one umbrella for the longest time is, see, Hammer is a UK-based production company that went out of business a while back, and more recently, thanks to John Gore, have finally come together to actually put out incredible releases of their Hammer projects. But this wasn't an easy task. See, when Hammer was done outside of the UK, in order to get the distribution done into major theaters and drive-ins, they would have to team up with other companies. Warner Brothers was a significant company for Hammer, but it also meant that Warner would retain the rights outside of the UK for some very significant and big Hammer releases, especially in their Gothic horror line. Also, we'd get Paramount and other companies that would have certain titles, so it really made it a bit of a mess getting it together. And for a lot of people that would have probably earlier wanted to invest in Hammer and start up a Hammer line, that type of thing, it became a bit of a tricky thing to do. You see, it's great to have the prestige of the Hammer film production logo and the years of history that goes with that. But when you're got to make and hope to make, and at some certain points can't make deals, and you're limited to where and how you can release certain films, it can be a bit harder to take that leap of faith. Luckily, John Gore did, and we're getting some incredible releases right now. But one of my very first Hammer releases, well, aside from the Warner Brothers 4-film Dracula set, which is at the farm, so I do apologize for not having that here, was this release that I did get from the UK. And it was the Hammer Collection. I can't be accused of not trying to start big when it comes to this here. I do have to give a shout out to my dad, my mom, and my Aunt Thelma, who are massive Hammer fans. And they really instilled the love of Hammer into me when I was young. I remember hearing my dad talk about it, seeing Famous Monsters of Family magazine, seeing some of his Hammer magazines that he had. I remember hearing my mom talk about like some of the Hammer films that she's seen in theater. And my Aunt Thelma, to this very day, we actually both have this Scars of Dracula t-shirt. Although some of the pictures on this t-shirt aren't actually from Scars of Dracula, they're from another one. But this release here was a really cool release, a bit dusty from being up top. But we'll open it up and look into it for a second. First off, before we do anything, this is a look of it right here. It's important to have that cross there because it comes in handy in case there's any nasty little vampires around, especially if they're friends of Dracula, the Prince of Darkness. Yes, this set came with these Hammer postcards with some other releases. There's Blood from the Mummy's Tomb, Quatermass and the Pit. Here's one I hope gets a big release down the road. The Reptile. It was one of their one-and-done monster releases that didn't have a franchise behind it. It wasn't Dracula, it wasn't Frankenstein monster, it wasn't any of that type of stuff. But this was Frankenstein Created Woman, which was probably one of the better releases that they did. And they did not just horror, they had stuff like 1 Million Years BC with the beautiful young Raquel Welch in this one, along with John Richardson and the absolutely fantastic Martine Beswick. This also came with a booklet which explains, which gives a little history of Hammer. We've got the faces of Hammer there with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. And of course, the biggest face of Hammer is probably Michael Ripper too, if you're a true Hammer aficionado. But it goes through the different ones here. It tells you when there's features on the release as well. And basically just talks about what each one is. And this is a nice mixture of titles. Although Hammer is known for its horror, this set doesn't just stick with the horror releases. It's done in a unique way in that they're done in little books like this. Right here you can see Christopher Lee as Rasputin, The Mad Monk, and that is one of the titles that's in here. But you start off right away with She, with Ursula Andress. I actually really like this film. It's kind of an adventure film. It's kind of fun. Then we go to The Nanny with Bette Davis. And this is a commentary with Jimmy Sangster, the director. Then we get Dracula, Prince of Darkness, which has a 57-minute documentary on Christopher Lee, the many faces of Christopher Lee. We followed it up with ever classic Plague the Zombies. This famous sequence here is actually from a dream scene in the film, but it's haunting. And of course, Rasputin, the Mad Monk. Your first book of Hammer films. We're off to a good start. You can see the beautiful Raquel Welch right here. And we start off with The Reptile. The Witches, which I gotta watch this one this year. I really like this film, actually. 1,000,000 Years BC. It's got interviews with Ray Harryhausen and Raquel Welch. One of the kind of the lower budget ones, but I actually like this, The Viking Queen. And the absolutely fantastic Frankenstein Created Woman. Each of these have pictures on the back as well. In book 3, what's that picture from? We're about to find out. We have Quatermass in the Pit to start us out. We got Vengeance of She, which is a slightly inferior but still fun sequel to the original She. The Devil Rides Out, highly underrated, really great film. Charles Gray thinks on this one. Prehistoric Women, I like it. We have Beautiful Martine Beswick. And Scars of Dracula, which does have a commentary with Christopher Lee on it, by the way, and the director. I love Scars. It's one of my favorite Dracula films. And we end up this set with one of the Frankenstein monsters. Probably one of the more famous ones, because that's Mr. David Prowse, who would go on to be in, of course, the guy in the suit for Darth Vader. And we start with a very underrated film, The Horror of Frankenstein. This is not Peter Cushing. We get Ralph Bates in this one here, along with Veronica Carlson, Dennis Price, and Kid O'Mara, with David Price as the monster. I really did like this one. This one comes with an interview with Veronica Carlson, a still gallery, and a commentary with Jimmy Sangster. The Blood from the Mummy's Tomb with the beautiful Valerie Leon comes with interviews from, I think, the director and Valerie Leon. One of my favorites, Straight Into Morning, which I now have a Blu-ray of because I really love this one here. It is a really cool release, and I want to see if there's any features on this one. I don't know if... Yes, we got the commentary with Reed Shishingham on here. This one's loaded up. We get the commentary as well for Fear in the Night, which is so much fun. We get a commentary on Demons of the Mind. And we get, for the final one, To the Devil a Daughter, which was the final Hammer horror film. Not a commentary. What we do get is a documentary on the Death of Hammer films. And this was a really great DVD release for the UK for Hammer, for a nice different amount of Hammer films, different titles, different styles, different genres. But just a bit later, Mill Creek would come in, and he put out a really nice release that we're going to look at next. I still remember the day that I got the email from Mill Creek that they were going to be releasing a Hammer Films collection. Blew my mind. I was so excited, and I remember emailing back, saying, is this something that's going to be coming out soon? Is this going to be something that is coming my way? If possible, I definitely want to be to get this, to review this release. Luckily, that is one of the ones that I did manage to get. And there's some good stuff on here. So there's some really good stuff on here. I'd double over when I would get the indicator releases when I bought those, but I didn't care to have like an easy to carry Hammer collection on the go with special features and a wide breadth of different types of films. I love my indicator releases, and we'll talk about those in a minute, but this is a very compact and easy to carry release. I love the look of this. The design of this is absolutely fantastic. And some people might be bothered that it comes in like a slimmer case like this, but not me. In fact, with the amount of films that are in my collection, I really appreciate something like this. Something that doesn't take up as much space, but gives a lot of oomph and value. We got Revenge of Frankenstein here to start us out. We go from that to Curse of Mummy's Tomb, to These Are the Damned, yep, The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll, with Paul Massey and Christopher Lee, The Old Dark House, getting to the more comedy stuff with Tom Poston, who I knew mostly when I was a kid from the Newhart show. There's The Gorgon, which is an absolute banger of a classic, Cash on Demand, which is one of their best suspenseful films, The Snorkel, another great one with Better St. John and what's his name again? Peter Van Eyck. Yeah, I had to look that up actually. Maniac with Corin Matthews. Corin Matthews was, of course, Sinbad, and I really like him and the stuff that he does. And Maniac is such a good film. I was surprised when I watched this one how much I enjoyed it and how tense I got watching the film. Die Die My Darling is one with Tallulah Bankhead and Stephanie Powers. It was such a memorable film that they would later make a stage play about Tallulah Bankhead and the making of Die Die My Darling. And in that one, Stephanie Powers would step in on stage to play the role of Tallulah Bankhead. It's a really good film, and as an early role for Canadian actor Donald Sutherland. Small but memorable. Stop Me Before I Kill is here, which is another fun one. Never Take Candy from a Stranger is a dark title, and I really, really like that one. Scream of Fear is another good one with Susan Strasberg. Stranglers of Bombay. I love this one. Not only does it have Guy Rolfe in it, but we got the master himself in this one, so that's actually pretty cool. If you're a Doctor Who fan, you know what I'm talking about. As he's also in Terror of the Tongues too, I think. I'm pretty sure he's in Stranglers of Bombay. I know he's in Terror of the Tongues. Then we get Parts of Blood River, another Corin Matthews one. The Sword of Sherwood Forest with Richard Green and Peter Cushing. It's a good one, especially with Peter Cushing. Richard Green's a little bit older, playing Robin Hood by this point. But I like this one. Camp on Blood Island is here. Yesterday's Enemies, those were two war films that they put out. And Creatures the World Forgot. The release, when you open it up, I love the fact that its artwork is unique and it's its own thing. We got the write-up on the back here with C. Courtney Joyner. And if you want to, this is a pretty, the writing on this is really easy to read. So if you want to, you can just pause the video and read the whole thing. It came with a booklet right here. There was 6 audio commentaries. We got one for Revenge of Frankenstein, The Old Dark House, The Gorgon, The Snorkel, Never Take Candy from a Stranger, and Scream of Fear. They chose well. Featurettes Hammer at Columbia Pictures, The Actors of Hammer, The Curse of Mummy's Tomb retrospective, and The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll retrospective. What's also really neat is the way that they did the booklet with these kind of like these quad type pitch posters for each of the films. The quad poster is pretty famous for these type releases, especially for the Hammer ones. It's a colorful booklet that's a lot of fun and gives a feeling of the old school Hammer quad posters, and it also lets you see almost a comic booky style to it. Each of these will be double featured with 2 films each. oops, that I'm going to knock out of here right now. I do think that I wish that the spindles on this would have been a bit thicker, because you got to be careful. They can't come off. I used to have these in a carry case. And the last one in the world, Creature the World Forgot, will get its own with bonus features listed there as well. It's a fantastic set that I really, really enjoy, and aside from the spindle thing, it's a classic. And then came Indicator. Before we get to the Indicator big hammer sets, they put out two kind of smaller hammer releases as well. I have the Robin Hood and Hammer, which has 2 or 3 Hammer films that Robin Hood films that Hammer put out, with the Sword of Sherwood Forest and a Challenge for Robin Hood. I like both of these. My dad is not a big fan of Challenge. It's kind of a younger Robin Hood character, and I think it's Barry Ingram that plays him in that. But it's a well done set. See I like swashbucklers a lot, actually, so these are kind of right up my alley. Each one gets its own disc, and you can choose whichever cover you want, but I'm choosing Sword of Sherwood Forest. It would also come with a double-sided poster and the massive Indicator books, which are when you're this thick, you're not a booklet anymore. Yeah, when you're running at like over 70, over 80 pages, you're definitely into the book territory. You actually talk about the other Robin Hood here, like one that they did called a Wolf's Head, which was going to be a pilot, and that's coming up for these with the new Men of Sherwood Forest release. This does include an extra, which is Robin Hood Jr., which is a lot of fun actually, and definitely something that's worth checking out. There's some really good extras and features on this one. If you haven't picked this one up yet, it's actually fairly inexpensive. And with the new Hammer Robin Hood one coming out, I would recommend you get this one while it's still in print. I think this is still in print. Another one that a lot of people don't like that I do is Creatures the World Forgot. It's not top tier Hammer, not by any means stretch of the imagination, but it's just fun enough to be a release that I enjoy and have fun with. It's the lesser Hammer. It's along their adventure stuff, but I like this. I like Julie Eggy in this. I think there's some neat features on here as well, and I love the art. This one came with no. I don't think this one came with a poster, but did have these wonderful cards in here. 2 sets of cards. Actually, I'm pretty sure I got a second set of cards somewhere else with this. And yeah, there. I do not want to see this film. Look at that. Looks like a fantastic release. Again, these films I adore, and I don't. I always have fun with all these releases, but it was the Fear Warning Hammer Volume 1 that came first, the one that started it all, and made us wonder exactly how far they'd go with this. See, when people said Hammer before, you would assume the Warner Archive stuff, the Frankenstein films that they had, or the Dracula films, or The Mummy. But when we got these 4 here, and you're going to notice some crossovers here. Maniac, The Gorgon, absolutely fantastic release, by the way. Curse of Mummy's Tomb, and Fanatic, known in North America as Die Die My Darling. Absolutely incredible films loaded up with special features, each one limited to 6,000. With their own releases, and every single one of these here, by the way, came with its own very own movie-specific booklet. Won't take them all out, but here's one for Maniac right here. It's pretty thick. All of them are done like this, and the write-ups on these are absolutely fantastic. At this point, I thought, yeah, this is top tier. There's never going to be a Hammer release that's ever going to touch this. We're getting there. Then Volume 2 was announced shortly after, which was Criminal Intent. We got the Snorkel, Never Take Sweets from a Stranger, The Full Treatment, and Cash on Demand. Again, each got their own big booklet in there, loaded up with special features. As you can tell, see that? That's all special features. And not just small special features either. Often there'd be like audio commentaries, interviews, talking to people who worked on the films. Indicator is a true film school in a box. Well, apologies to Criterion, it really is. Then we got their more kind of adventure type stuff. They're the different ones. We got Strangs of Bombay, Terror of the Tongs, Camp on Blood Island, and Yesterday's Enemy. I told you we're going to cross over. You get really interesting features on these as well, like some incredible stuff, appreciations of different films, loaded up with different commentaries, with archival recordings. The Guardian interviews where they interview like a director or an actor, and it could be like an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours long the way these are done. And I love the Guardian interviews. Then we hit up with Volume 4, which had Revenge of Frankenstein, Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll, Taste of Fear, and The Damned, or also known as These Are the Damned in North America. There's Susan Strasberg from Scream of Fear on the front, which is what it was called in North America. It's a great release, and this would be a bit of a change when it came to these releases. See, for the first time, by the way, these look absolutely stunning when you take these off. For the first time ever with any of these releases, The Damned will be a 2-disc set. There's a young Oliver Reed right there. And needless to say, they'd load that baby up. Because it's a 2 Blu-ray set with the 96-minute version of the film, as either The Damned or These Are the Damned, and the 87-minute version of the film. Let me know if you've watched it, which version you like best. Volume 5 will give us more adventure titles, from Visa to Canton, The Parts of Blood River, The Scarlet Blade, The Brigand of Kandahar. Good old pirate Christopher Lee. How can you go wrong with that? These are the fun types I would watch when I was a kid. And it ended off on quite a bang, actually. The Hammer set Volume 6, Night Shadows. We get Shadow the Cat. Really like that one. Captain Clegg. One of 2 Captain Clegg films are based on that thing that gave me nightmares. The other one was for Disney. Phantom of the Opera with Herbert Lom. Great story behind that one, by the way. He wasn't the original person to star in that one, that was supposed to star in it. And A Nightmare, which is a great little thriller. Absolutely fantastic releases. And Phantom of the Opera includes an extended TV cut of Phantom of the Opera as well. I just geek out when I see these, by the way. I am so excited to have these in my collection. Now, a lot of these are at a print now. Some of these you can buy like separately as single releases, and if they're available, I do recommend them because they do an absolutely banger job on them. I'm not even going to stop video right now to do this part. I'm just going to lean back, move things around a bit, and bring you to modern iteration of Hammer. John Gore's Hammer films. This is a collector's edition for Quatermass 2 called Enemy from Space in North America. I ordered this from Metaluna in Paris. I knew this was a banger of release, but I thought, this will be like Indicator. Like, it'll be a great release, have a lot of good special features. I'll be fairly impressed, and that'll be it. It's a nice hard box. And I opened it up inside this other box with Enemy from Space poster with this wonderful artwork here. Then I open up this box and I saw that he did a double-sided poster for Quatermass 2. I was really impressed. Then I noticed that he did the reproduction of all the 8 lobby cards that were in the theaters in the US when this movie came out. Then he had the graphic novel, which was the in the Hammer magazine. They had done the adaptation of this, and probably over so many issues. And these are all put together to make the Quatermass 2 graphic novel. What's really cool about this one is David Lloyd does the artwork, and of course he would go on to do V for Vendetta with Alan Moore, one of the seminal pieces. If you're a comic book fan, if you're a movie fan too, you probably saw the film. Then there was this, and this stunned me. Quatermass Papers Volume 2, because he put out Quatermass Experiment, which I don't have yet, and I really want. It's a over 170-page book with so many write-ups, so many fantastic articles, that as soon as I got home, as soon as I had some free time, I started reading it, and I read it right through in a couple nights. And I'll probably read it through again. It's really good. So that just left us with the film, right? See, it was in 4K and Blu-ray. So you got the 4K for Quatermass 2 and the Blu-ray with special features. You got the 4K and Blu-ray for Enemy from Space. And normally you think this would stop it, right? Look at all we've got. But see, Quatermass 2 was also a TV serial. And although, unlike the original Quatermass Experiment, which only has 2 episodes that are available, all episodes are available for Quatermass 2. Not in the greatest condition, but all of them are complete in here. So we get it on a Blu-ray for the first time. If you're wondering, feature-wise, the type of stuff that's on here, well, you get different versions of the film, like the 166, 137, and 185 of the film. See, for these, we got different commentaries, even commentary from the Laserdisc is on here. We got new features, The Legend of Nigel Neal, Quatermass the Hammer Experience, Val guest interviews, Super 8 films. It's loaded with features. Every Hammer release that's put out by them gets a loaded set. Not all of them are like this. There's the big sets like this, and then there's the smaller sets for Men Assured Force, Blood Orange, Men in Black, and releases like that. The first release that came out was Captain Kronos, and sadly I missed out on that one. I'll buy the 4K edition down the road, but I missed out on all the goodies in the big set like this. I think that's a great place to end it, because the future for Hammer collecting is really strong and really solid. With the upcoming Curse of Frankenstein release, which was a UK-only exclusive with a 6-disc set, with some incredible documentaries and featurettes and bonus exclusive stuff, and with the rest of the world getting the incredible Warner Archives release as well. That's being done in a 4K and a Blu-ray set. If you wanted to start collecting Hammer, now's a wonderful time. If you collected Hammer before and you're a fan of it, and either you fell out or it was just hard to find like a good release, well, here we are. It's the ultimate release, the definitive release. So any time somebody wants to tell you that physical media is on its way out, or we're not getting releases the way that we used to, or we're only getting, the focus is only on the superhero things, show them stuff like this. Because we've come a long way from what we got initially from those EP tapes. We've come a long way for hoping to get a write-up, hoping to see a trailer. Come a long, long way. I'm glad we have, and I'm looking forward to collecting Hammer and getting more of these releases and be able to showcase those on the channel. Now let me know in the comment section down below if you got any of these Hammer releases. What your Hammer collection is like, if you like Hammer, and if you do, which ones that you hope Hammer Films puts out next. I was excited to see Men of Sherwood Forest, but I wasn't as familiar with it as I was some of the other releases. I'm equally excited for releases that I'm not so familiar with as I am of the tentpole releases, like the Frankensteins, the Draculas, the Quatermasses, that I know a lot better. I love the fact that we're getting a mixture of both, and I can't wait to find out what's up next. My name is Aaron. Thanks for joining me tonight in the cult, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully, in the future, I'll be unboxing the Chris Frankenstein for you. I'm really excited about that.
Oh God. Subscription sloth here. Just want to remind you that I know in the summertime especially it can be super warm and lazy. But if you're liking this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to go that step further and join the Patreon, there's a link for that down below. You can super sticker, super chat, or donate. But above all, just lie back and enjoy the video, because that's what I'm going to do.